Okay, so welcome to the February 2024 Design Review Committee meeting. I'm going to call the roll to confirm that our DRC members are present. Omari Davis.
Here.
Robert Dudka and Alex Foster are excused. Andrew Wenchel.
Here.
Great. DRC meetings are held in person and streamed simultaneously to allow commissioners, applicants, and the public to attend online. For members of the board and applicants joining us this evening, if board members or applicants lose internet connectivity during today's meeting, please reconnect with us via the dial-in phone option. Applicants, please keep your devices muted and your video turned off until your item is under review. When called upon to speak, you must unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon that is located on your meeting command bar. The command bar will appear if you move your cursor down toward the bottom of your screen. We do not have the ability to unmute you. If you are dialing in by phone, press *6 to unmute. The meeting chat is active for participants who need technical assistance and should not be used for questions. The public may observe the meetings, but participation in the discussion is limited to applicants and members of the HALRB during this meeting. Public comment is welcome at the HALRB meeting. Information about signing up as a speaker or submitting a public comment for that meeting is available on the HALRB website. Lastly, this is a public forum. Today's meeting will be recorded and posted to the county website. All information associated with today's meeting, whether written or spoken, is subject to the Freedom of Information Act requirements. All right, so our first agenda item, on my screen. Oh, okay. So John is here in person. If you want to join us at the table, this is a project, excuse me, at Fort Ethan Allen. And you all might recall that in June of last year, this project came forward for HALRB review. So this is associated with the USCT marker that's going in place at Fort Ethan Allen. So Fort Ethan Allen and Fort Ethan Allen Trench are two separate local historic districts. The reason this is coming forward tonight is to basically get approval for the signs removal from the trench, because that sign is going to be replaced with the new signage about the USCT and put at Fort Ethan Allen, so just a little bit further down the way. So this is the very active mouse. So this is where the sign used to be located, so facing the trench itself, and it has since been removed by DPR staff, so now it's no longer there. And this is what the text used to be about. John, do you want to add anything that I missed about this particular application?
No, just to say that with our original application, as we understood it, the project had been approved pending a final review of what the new sign would entail. So as a result of that, after the fact, Civil War Trails asked if that meant they had permission to remove the sign, with the understanding it would not go into the new location until that final approval. So that is why this is coming with the sign already having been removed from the park.
It's to help us with our record too, just to make sure that we have record that it was removed from the trench LHD and it's being relocated essentially. And I will note that the design for the marker, so to get their final COA, that's coming forward this month too, but because it's a marker design, we didn't bring it forward to DRC.
Oh.
So you'll see that at the HALRB, but we brought this one forward because it could theoretically go on consent if you all agree with it going on that agenda.
With this being just a removal of this, well, the sign that's going to be replaced anyway, I think it makes sense. I mean, it's good to keep the record. It makes sense that it's here, but I think that I'm taking no exception to anything at all. Sounds good to me.
I don't have any exception. This is going to be we're not gonna recommend.
Well, this is just for the removal
Okay,
of this particular sign. So the full board will need to approve that and then the new content for the replacement sign.
So that's two separate COAs associated with this project. It's just that this one is associated with the trench. The other one is with Fort Ethan Allen proper. Yeah.
I think the removal could probably go on.
Okay. Do you agree with that, Andy? Okay. Right. Okay, John. So that one's going to go on the consent agenda, and then I know that you and the CWT representative, whose name I'm forgetting now, but he'll be at the meeting for the HALRB meeting to present the full marker. So you all get to see a really great design that they came up with. So, okay. All right. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you all.
I'll follow up with you in an email, John.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
Okay. Moving right along. And next item on our agenda. Let's just try to. So this is COA 24-04, and I believe that Mr. Matterall is attending virtually. But this is a project in Maywood. It's located at 3307 21st Avenue North, and our applicant is interested in converting their existing garage, which you see here, into an ADU. So I'll go through our. Oops, sorry, I'm gonna. This mouse is really sensitive. Yeah. I'm actually. I'll minimize this. So this is all of the existing elevations, and this is what they are proposing. Based off my conversations with the applicant, they're really limited in the amount and location of openings per like code requirements and other things. So that's why you don't see any openings on the east elevation or the north side. And then you'll also see it's really tight on the property line, and you can get that sense from these photographs here.
Right there.
So really it's mostly just a change in the fenestration and making some different openings on the existing garage in order to make it a more livable space. So that's the floor plan. But they're putting in some windows on the west elevation, and then they're trying to create a different door instead of a garage door, inserting a window here. This window is already in place, so that's going to remain. And then in terms of the materials, you can see them called out here, but I'm gonna scroll down. So we have these are all, I believe, aluminum clad wood windows, and then there is one vinyl window they're proposing to put in the bathroom. So there's an opening here, and it's this window right here. It's going to be the vinyl window. And then they're going to use hardy plank, which is already on the garage, to infill the areas where there was partially an opening. They're just going to infill that. And then they're going to put in a steel door. So this door here is made of steel.
Is that steel and glass or just steel?
Yeah, I believe that they're like fully glazed. It's got the glass here, double B. So that's the proposal in a nutshell. Mr. Matterall, did you want to say anything or add anything to what I had already described?
Yeah, Michael, first of all, thank you so much for explaining the situation. We are, as she mentioned, we are limited by the lot lines. So I've been speaking with the county about the ADU permit, and the long and short of it is that we can receive the ADU permit if we do not change the envelope, and because we are within 1 foot of the lot line and 2 feet of the lot line, we cannot put any openings. We need 1.5 hour fire barrier on either side, so we can't have any openings on the east and the north side. So that limits our it kind of limits our layout. We're also only going to be making this a studio rather than a one bedroom. So we because we have so little room, it allows us to have the openings that we need and the passageway that we need for it to be almost ADU, but almost ADA compliant, but not exactly. So we are unable to utilize the existing door as an entrance because it's actually only 28 inches wide. So we'd have to rebuild the structure. So that's one of the reasons why I chose to put a window there and then utilize the larger opening for the simulating a little bit. It's not that you can see this very well from the street anyway, but that was sort of the best case scenario with the floor plan that allows us to get plumbing and electricity to the house in the easiest possible way. So if there's any other questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Okay. You all have any questions, thoughts, initial reactions?
What's the current material of the siding? Is it wood or is it something else? Or?
I believe
It's hardy plank. It's we're not changing the exterior material at all.
Okay.
And I think that was put in 2011. They got a COA to add the top part of the garage, so it didn't always look like this. But in 2011, they had a COA to bump it up a little bit and add the hardy plank.
And what's on sort of outbuildings? What's the Maywood design guidelines in terms of like the window material? Does it need to be wood, or can it sort of there's more left to interpretation of each project, or is there sort of?
So ADUs are kind of in a unique spot because they are a dwelling. They're not a garage or a shed. And so I wouldn't necessarily use the guidance for those. I mean, aluminum clad, I did take a look at some things today just to make sure that I was prepared for questions, but aluminum clad windows in general are not seen as appropriate in Maywood, and vinyl windows are the same. But I think another piece to consider here is this garage is technically considered contributing, but in 2011, staff basically just through their research discerned that it wasn't historic or original to Maywood. And so that's like something to kind of keep in mind with your determination for the material elements here. I know for garages, to approve something via the ACOA process, I could do like wood doors or wood windows, and that would be allowable for me as staff to approve the construction of a garage. With sheds, sheds are allowed to have steel doors. That was one thing that I did note here. But I think it's probably makes more sense to compare to other ADUs in Maywood. And most of those have either used wood windows or, and actually one of them used vinyl clad. So
There haven't been many.
there's only been two. And there's only been one that has actually been
One got built.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I know it's not a straight answer to the question, but I think that you could probably look at this as like a case by case basis situation, much like last month when we discussed the vinyl window in the bathroom. It's kind of a similar situation here.
And not that it makes any difference, but the door on the garage is a metal door. It is not a historically appropriate wood door. The current one.
The current one, okay.
I guess this is basically an accessory building. Garage converted to an accessory building structure. And I guess what really bothers me is the fact that garage so close to the property line. Is basically two elevations of the garage being basically blank walls. I honestly don't think that's really appropriate for an accessory building. If this was an accessory building, new one, requirements would be different in terms of the setback from the property lines. And that would make the accessory dwelling much more attractive, if you will, for use. It's not impossible, I think that, but I mean, basically, they're gonna have to go in and put, I think, probably 2-hour separation of walls and property. The interior, it's basically a couple of sheets, double thickness, but the plasterboard, and I guess that's just my question. Is this really appropriate to convert this particular structure to an accessory building? A garage this close to the property line, because it doesn't make, granted that there's going to be some decent windows, 2 elevations, ventilation, light, but I'm just really questioning whether this is appropriate use.
Michael, do you mind if I comment to that?
Absolutely.
Sure.
So you know, we're in a situation that the relatively recent ADU requirements and provisions as agreed upon by Arlington County allow any structure that has been built before, and I don't know what the year is. I'm sorry that I can't say that, but it's before 1985 or something like that. That, you know, I could not knock this garage down and build an accessory dwelling. And if you look at our plat, which you can see very clearly, there's not a place to put this. Now, the building does exist, and because Arlington County is trying to encourage the use of accessory dwellings, the provision allows that any existing structure can receive an accessory dwelling permit if it is not, if the existing envelope is not changed. Now, what that means is that we're going to have to insulate it. We're going to have to insulate the floor. We're going to have to insulate the walls and the ceiling, and we're going to have to bring it up to code as a use permit, which obviously it's just a shed right now. So there's a lot of technical work that has to be done with the county. But as far as the provision and the county goes, the provision was written exactly and entirely for this type of situation. That if a unit, if a homeowner has a unit that exists on the property, they can convert that or get the right to convert that. Now I'll tell you that my intention of converting this is not to make it an income property or to have somebody move in. I have a child who's in college and another one who just recently graduated from college, and I have elderly parents, and my interest of building this is not for public use. It's for private use, and it's really to be an ADA accessible, no stairs studio that would allow my mother, if necessary, to live there. So, you know, this is understanding that we're in the historic community. That's why we have to meet with you, and we have to get the okays to do what it takes to convert this into a living space. In order to do so, we need a few windows and we need an ADA compliant entrance. We're not changing the exterior that you can see from the road. You can't see the west exposure from the road. There's no way you don't see it, right? So it really doesn't change anybody's view. And we're also on a cul-de-sac, so very few people, if any, are ever going to see this to that point. So I appreciate your comments, but I disagree with them based upon the provisions that Arlington County is trying to allow homeowners to provide more dwelling units on their properties. And that's precisely what we're trying to do.
What is the status? Is the house reconstructed?
I believe that the house is, if the garage was noted as being contributing.
So I'll just add, Mr. Matterall, thank you for that additional context. I think that's really helpful to understand the background about what the county's requirements are, as well as your expected use for the building. And I think in response to Mr. Winchell's concerns, you know, I think a couple of factors to look at. One, there have been changes made to this building over time, and the fact that the roof pitch has changed, correct? And so also our research has indicated that this was not a historic outbuilding within the neighborhood. So I think that's a key point to remember. Secondly, this is an existing condition. They can't control the location of the garage on the lot. It is where it is. It's that close to the lot line. That's the existing circumstance. And I think in staff's opinion, in our minds, this is really an adaptive reuse, right? It's the repurposing of an existing building that is allowed by code, is allowed by ordinance, and we are supportive of it. And so I think the HLRB likely will just need to focus on some of the materials being proposed, but I think that's our main opinion.
And I'm sorry that I'm remote. Who was that said that?
Mr. Matterall, this is Cynthia with the staff.
Oh, hey, Cynthia. Yeah, sure. Thank you so much, Cynthia. I appreciate I appreciate your comments. Good. Thank you.
Oh, I guess my only other, just in terms of the facades with fenestration, I recommend that some of the head heights do a little bit better job about matching up. It's a little bit all over the place. I mean, I understand why some of the pieces of that said though.
Like here.
Yeah, it'd be nicer to clean some of that up to kind of get things to be.
Do you want them to be more proportional? Like, can you give more specifics as to what you
For instance, I mean, if the window on the west elevation, the window on the far right side, would essentially pop up in a line with the window on the far left side, or you know, or
That's not a problem. That change could be made immediately.
And I would also recommend that if you also explore on the front elevation as well. Just to, I mean, if it, you know, it's up, just explore that, because I understand that wasn't doing. Just I would explore just again working to harmonize those things. I guess that's my sort of take on. I mean, I definitely understood Mr. Winch's comments. I heard Cindy's comments as well, and I guess it's sort of differing opinions there, but I think that it's kind of given what the county allows by design. I mean, I can't really take any sort of exception to the existence of actual property, so it's fine. I mean, it's obviously the space is not ideal for it, but given if zoning essentially allows it, then no way I think it's probably.
And I think another way to look at it too is the fact that this is coming before the HLRB for its design elements, not whether it's permissible. The code, Arlington County has determined it is permissible. So now the question is, how does that get executed? And so that's where the HLRB's comments, like on the appropriateness of materials and windows and things like that would come into play.
Oh, I'll retract.
Or you don't have to. It can
You don't
be-
have to, you don't always have to agree with us.
No,
but-
I don't necessarily. I mean, I think that. Perhaps I missed it. I didn't think that you covered. So, zoning. No, this was basically. Okay. I mean, I still. Comments. Appropriate in terms of this is very. Excessive. That's my mind, it's not. Make. I certainly wouldn't sign that new. Basic. Accessory building. I don't think the county would. As close as this is. I think this is. Difference. Between what zoning allows.
Remember, the
Design.
HLRB hasn't looked at too many of these yet, so this is still a process we're all getting accustomed to within the district. So the more of these that there are, the more straightforward, I think, and more comfortable we're going to feel with variations amongst them. So
So, I guess. If you say that this existing structure would basically convert the garage into accessory building, I think that's. And the zoning says it's okay. And comments. This would, I think, if I would hope this does not set a precedent. Probably should be some discussion.
that was going to be my next
Zoning.
question.
HLR for zoning essentially says this is okay, and then we say, hey. Objective is basic. They were basic. Present this as. Reasonable. They would. Hope county zoning commits something like this.
So I'm not sure if this clarifies your questions, but I had the initial conversation with 5 members from the county about the permit, essentially the ADU permit, and each one went over the drawings, the floor plan, the existing structure, the plat, and the biggest concern they have is that we're going to be adding one more bathroom, so we're going to have to be running a 1-inch water. We're going to be connecting to the existing sewer, so we're going to have to upgrade our water lines. So, they have not. There's nothing that stops us, according to the county, of doing this because we are in the historic neighborhood. They said that we have to go through the HLRB, obviously, to get the okay on the design elements on the exterior. But that's the only thing that gets in the way of pulling the permit. So with that, once we have the HLRB's okay, I can get a permit in 2 weeks.
So I think, given the discussion, we'll probably go on the discussion agenda. Okay, but it sounds like, Mr. Matterall, you can make the adjustments to the head heights to make them even on all of the windows and to make sure that they match up on the west elevation and south elevation. And that was really the only design specific comment that we wanted changed before it came forward, right?
But also, yeah, I was thinking about that. I would also, I mean, I guess I'm not 100% sure where I stand on all materials. I mean, I think it all makes sense essentially, but just given the fact it's sort of a new sort of animal that we're looking at, I think the one window that makes sense to me right now is the vinyl window in the bathroom. That would make sense. On the other ones, I'm still a little bit not sure whether or not they should be the materials that they are, and then also be nice maybe if the materials matched on the window that also match the door as well. So that's
Okay, we can talk about that.
Yeah.
too.
just a comment there. And like, I'm not sure everybody else grabbing that myself.
Okay.
We'll discuss it more.
And then, Mr. Matterall, can I just ask a clarifying question? The window that's in the gable end, that's wood, right?
Correct.
The existing, okay, all right.
And the doors actually are not steel. The doors are wood doors.
Oh, okay.
The ones that you're proposing?
Oh, the new ones?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. Okay.
Okay,
So they're wood with glazing.
I'll have to clarify that.
Steel patio door on the application, that's why I thought they were steel, but
Oh, it's a primed pre-hung door masonite. It's from the cut sheet that I've seen, I see that as being wood.
Yes,
Oh, here we
steel
go.
patio door.
Can you
Uh,
maybe share with Michael the spec that you have, Mr. Matterall?
I will.
Okay.
Yep.
And then we can try to decipher what is the material.
yeah.
Right, and then I chose wood windows, and the only ones that I could find in as I was doing this relatively quickly were clad. But I'm prepared to find wood windows if that's the only thing that's going to get in the way over here.
Okay. All right, well, it's gonna go on the discussion agenda, so I will follow up with you with an email this week to just
Okay.
go over our discussion and put it in writing for you to reference, and we'll talk about next steps before the HALRB meeting.
Okay, thank you very much,
Thank you
and
so much.
thank you all for your comments.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, good night.
Bye-bye.
Our next item is here. So this is another ADU.
It's the month of ADUs.
Patrick Brennan.
Oh, okay, very nice to
Yes,
meet you.
nice to meet you.
I was like, Stefan said he was coming online, so yeah, okay. All right, so this is at 3310 at 21st Avenue North, and this
Across
is
the street.
across
Yes.
the street.
Andy's
Yeah.
my neighbor.
Yeah. So this would be a new build, though. I'm gonna zoom in here. To give you a better sense of the footprint. So the house itself staying the same. The only changes are going on in the backyard. So there's going to be some cutout of the existing patio to make space for the ADU. They're removing the shed, but the shed doesn't need review from the HALRB or from staff because it doesn't have a foundation. So they can just remove it and there's no review needed. So, but they're removing it to make way for the ADU. And here's some existing photos. So this is the house, and these are the views you see from the street. This is the back of the house. Oh, the other thing to note, sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself here. They are changing the driveway as well. So they're making it a little bit smaller, and they are putting impermeable pavers here instead. So this is asphalt, but they're gonna make it permeable. That would have been a change I could approve ACOA, but it's a little too big for me to be able to approve it. So that's why it's coming forward as part of this application. There's some of the renderings of the ADU.
Is this also Hardy Plank?
Yep, so all the specs are down here, but it's going to be hardy plank siding, and that the siding meets the guidelines in Appendix C. I think that's C. And then 3-tab asphalt shingles for the roof. They are wood windows, I believe, and then an aluminum clad wood door. And then there's PVC trim to go along with the parking plank. Yeah. Would you like to add anything to the proposal or what I've stated thus far?
Yeah, I think you're right on.
Okay, awesome. Stefan, would you like to add anything? This is the architect for the project.
Hi, good evening. How are you?
Good, how are you doing?
Pretty good. I wanted to clarify, I believe the windows are vinyl. It's an Anderson 100. Well, it depends on, some of the windows are 100 and 200 series windows, depending on the operability. So we have some double hungs and also some fixed windows.
Okay.
But it is not a wood product.
Okay, so it's a vinyl window across the board. All windows are vinyl.
It is a vinyl window, but I do want to just add a note that the grills on the windows are simulated divided lights. So they are true SDLs.
Okay.
What's the material of this skirt around the base? Is that PVC or is that?
Yes, it's PVC, correct. Any white trim that you see on the rendering is PVC. We have, if you scroll down further to page, it would be page 8 of the package. We have a cross section of the detail around the window.
Oh, you're talking about
Well,
the
that-
round
well-
windows.
Correct. Yeah. So, well, this is fine. So basically, at the base of the window, we have a historic sill, and then the top of the window we have a ram's crown, and then below the historic sill we have a piece of trim as well. We're basically matching what the existing house has currently.
I did have one question about the PVC trim since we're on this page. So the thickness noted here, would it be possible to have this material bump up the thickness to, let me just make sure I have the measurement right, 1.25 inches instead? So the, excuse me, the guidelines for Maywood ask that the minimum thickness be 1.25 for PVC trim. So I'm not sure if that's possible for this particular kind, but I wanted to ask if it would be possible for you to look into that.
So the trim is 5/4 by, which is just over an inch. I mean, to be exact, 5/4 by is one second. Yeah, it's 1.25. We're calling, if you go to page 8 of the package, I believe it's page 8. It would be A500, what we're calling A500. Yeah, exactly. If you go, we have a detail of the typical window, which is detail number 2. And so we are calling out 5/4 by material around the window. That's typical AZAC PVC dimensions. And so that is 1.25.
Okay.
So we have a 5/4 by 4 PVC trim around the window with an AZAC ram's crown at the top, and then the historic sill under the window with an apron below the historic sill profile.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
No problem.
Any DRC questions or comments?
I'd like to say that I think it's located at the rear of the lot, far from the street, and presents a very honest, straightforward. Looks like it'd be a pretty comfortable accessory building. I think this is more on the lines of what I think we're looking in terms of accessory buildings. And trying to do something else with old Chevy Dodge. Does not turn out looking attractive. I think this goes with it. It's clearly a new structure. Given its location on the lot, I think it's a much better addition.
I hear you, but just remember it's different circumstances. This is new construction versus
I know,
previous.
I think that new construction. I think this is a much more attractive building. It looks like what it is. It's an honest expression. It doesn't say trying to be historical. It doesn't really approach the historic scene. It's more back in properties. I think that's a comment I would give in this one. Recommended consent.
No, I think it's very well executed. I think it's always a little squiggly about the materials, about it's here and there for me, but I mean, I think the presentation is good, and again, maybe the materiality, only on the windows, the hardy plank and the UPC, not the deal breaker. It's kind of, I guess I kind of want to have us. It'd be nice to have the board sort of set, sort of impressing them with it. I think that it's probably, I think it could be. I think it could be vinyl. It could be clad wood. But I think we should probably set kind of a standard, at least an informal standard of what it should be, and it may be, you know, maybe. I'd recommend that this one go on discussion though, just based on the fact that we're going to have that there's kind of two linked together, and I think that, and also, to Andy's point, also an example of sort of one style of one that's sort of in situ now that somebody's converting to change over something, and then one is a new build construction that can be sited better and have better fenestration, have a lot of advantages over sort of existing structure. So
We have an apple and an orange, not two apples.
yeah,
Not two oranges.
yeah.
Sure, yep.
I guess too, another point too, I take no exception to the narrowing of the driveway. I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Now, are you doing permeable surface between the driveway and the new unit? As
Yeah.
well? Yeah.
No, so that sort of
That's
hatched
fine.
area the hatched area that I'm showing in the site plan, that's just compliance with land disturbance. So that's just us
okay.
trying to
I
prove
was
that
missing
we're.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, the set's a little bit more completed than what would be needed at this time for historic approval. We sort of just went ahead and just completed the set, but basically, we have to prove to Arlington County that if we're under 2,500 square feet of land disturbance, that we're not kicked into certain stormwater management necessities, and so that's what that means. There is not going to be a pathway from the driveway to the proposed ADU. It's just it's grass. So
Thank you for correcting me. So it sounds like then this would be another discussion item. So we can talk about materials.
Okay. Great. It'll go on discussion, but I'll follow up with an email about next steps and more information about the HALRB meeting. But thank you very much for attending in person.
Sure.
Did you all have any questions for us while you're here?
No, I think this is the first step, obviously. Excited about it.
Wonderful.
Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you very much to everyone online for joining us. That was the last item on our agenda for the evening.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Hi.
Gotta find a place to park the in-laws, man.
Think about that.
Right up back.
Actually, the backyard's good.